There we go. So, well, at this point, we have gone through, well, 90% of all there is to say about verbs and about, well, substantives. So, there is not much left, although there are a few things which, although not as important, do compose a significant part of Sumerian grammar, and whose knowledge is, well, kind of necessary if we want to gain a all-round knowledge and, yeah, of the language. So, the first one would be numbers. So while we're not going to dig into like operations and mathematics, because that is very hard, that's very complicated, and I would reserve such topic for the intermediate group. But I'll tell you all about it in a few minutes, half an hour, maybe. Let's see. But yeah, let's just see the numbers, I guess. So from 1 to 9, well, we have two kind of different kinds of numbers. So from 1 to 9, they're all wedges, vertical wedges, like this one, which is read as dish. When it's horizontal, it's read as ash. So, can I? Yes, I can. Let's see. So the numbers from 1 to 5, I think, yeah, are simple. So they're not constructed forms. That will make sense in a second. So again, 1 is dish, or when the wedge, the cuneiform is placed horizontally, it's called, it's pronounced ash. So 1, it's either dish or ash, depending on the direction of the wedge. 2 would be min, again, 2 wedges. Then we have esh, 3, and then they start getting all creative with the upcoming numbers. So 4 looks like this. This is the standard form. In reality, each school, each scribe kind of did its own thing. So sometimes you have it in this order, sometimes they're like all next to each other. That kind of depends on the scribe. But whenever you see 4, well, vertical wedges in any position, that's usually a 4. Limo, that would be the pronunciation on the face value. And the last one would be ya, 5. So ya 2, ya 1 is a different sign. So one thing about numbers in general is that we don't really know how they are pronounced. The only kind of sources we have for their pronunciation value comes from a few texts found in the city of Ebla and a very limited number of other sources. So it's very tentative at times, and we only know a handful of the pronunciation of the signs. So sometimes we can read the number, but we have no idea how to actually say it. But fortunately enough, this is not the case for like simple signs and numbers, such as the ones from 1 to 10. So these 5 would be the simple ones, and then the constructed ones, so to say, would be the ones from 6 to 9, the combination ones. So 6 would be ash 3. Again, 6 wedges. And if you look at it, ash is basically iya, so 5 plus ash, which is 1. And onwards we go. So 7, umun or imin, probably a sound in the middle, like umun or something like that. Iya, so 5 plus 2. Usu, 8. Iya plus esh. So the S either gets softened or that's the Semites doing their thing with the S. And then we have the 9, which is ilimu, which is iya, sorry, 5 plus limu, 4. Quite simple. Again, it's all vertical wedges. You just count them. You don't really have to know the number, the pronunciation, the value. You just understand that's right away, like that's a 9, because there's 9 wedges. That's it. Moving on. From 10 onwards, we kind of switch position of the wedge. It's not vertical anymore, it's askew. That's the term I use. This depends on the literature you're but it's not horizontal, it's not vertical, it's kind of a different one. This one is like, looks kind of different. It's the askew one. So 10 is u. Probably pronounced something like hu or well you, but again, that's we are left in the standard transliteration procedure thing. So 10. And well, numbers from 11 to 19 are basically the sum of 10 plus something. So 10 plus x. So if you want to do 13, you have one ASCII wedge, which is 10 plus 3 in this case. So ash or dish, 1, 1, 1, depending on the transliteration. So those would be the numbers from 1 to 19. We don't know how they're pronounced, with a few exceptions, which I think it's 12 and 13 and maybe 15. We know how they're pronounced. The thing is, we have 3 different ways. I mean, 3 different pronunciation values for 12, I think. So that gives a hint of, I don't know, perhaps regional diversity, regional. I mean, they probably had different ways of calling them, but that's unimportant now. So we don't really know what they're like called and how to pronounce them, but we do know how to recognize them from visible operations here. So you see a wedge there, you go, okay, that's a 10 unit, and then there's a 3, so that must be a 13. So that would be, oops, I'm going backwards. Okay. Now, from 20 to 100, well, for that matter, 20 to infinity, but again, I stop at 100 here, I think. Yeah. So from 10 to 50, they kind of stop at being ASCII wedges. So you've got 2 wedges of that sort, it's niche 20. Then 30, ushu, nimin 40, ninnu 50. And they all look like this. So quite, I mean, it's fancy, but it's understandable. Then what happens? 60 looks different. Depending on the time period, it's either a wedge that looks just like the 1, so dish, or a dot. They just grab the finger and they go like in the clay. I'm just kidding, of course, but that's what it looks like. Right. So why is that? Why don't we know the numbers from, well, 70 to 100? Well, because they're not as important, so to say, as the numbers, as the multiples of 10 and 60, because Sumerian doesn't use a system like a numerical system like we do. They use a sexagesimal system. So the pivotal numbers, the one you do operations with and you represent numbers with, are the multiples of 10 and 6. Now, this is a very intricate topic, and we're not going to delve into it, but to be short and summary, if you have a number that is higher than 60, you take 60 and you add something to it in order to represent it. If you have a number that's higher than 600, you take 600 and you add something to it. That's kind of the way it works. So let's say we want to represent 70 here. How do we do it? We write 60, so either the fingerprint or the gash, and then we put a 10 after it. So it's 60 gash plus 10. What if we want to have 98? That would be 60 plus 30 plus 8. So 60, 30, 8. So the the vertical wedge, which in this case is 60, then the ASCII ones, so a multiple of 10, and then the vertical ones, so numbers from 1 to 9. 100 instead is like this, 60, 40, whoopsie, I underlined the whole of it. So far, so good, I think. All right. Then the next big topic is question words.
I'm sorry, before we move on, can I ask a question about the numbers?
Sure.
Are any of these signs just used as phonetic signs, in other words, or are they strictly used for numbers?
So no, actually, the reason why some of them are like ash 5, like this, is because you have like at least of the 4 phonetic variants of ash, and those are used for like well, words in general. While this form with the 3 wedges is specific to numbers. So that doesn't really happen a lot. You do have some place names and settlement names and temple names, which include, well, numbers, but I don't think that counts. So as a rule of thumb, I would say not really. That's also the reason why the most common signs like Ia and Ash, which again are monosyllabic words, occur in other words as well and mean other things. But you see that there's a number because the other readings are reserved to words. Well, these ones are only used for numbers.
Okay.
The exception would be 10. I think u also, yeah, I think it's a verb as well. I'm not sure about the meaning, but the other exception would be okay, then there's no other exception that I know of. I can't think of anything else. Ngesh also means a few things. Ngesh can mean 60. It can mean 3, also as a determinative. It can mean well, male genitalia, but yeah, the more you know. But yeah, and they use different visual variances, usually not this one.
Okay.
Thank you for the
Thank
question.
you.
That made a lot
Thank
of sense. So let's talk about question words, which is the second big topic. They're really simple. Now, if you have noticed in Sumerian, there's this tendency of using the N in, well, the verbal chain or suffixes, prefixes, etc., with animate beings with the person class and the B with the non-person class. For some reason, though, in question words, it's actually reverse. That's why Abba means who, while Anna means what or which. Mea means where, and Mena or Menam with the copula at the end means when. Those would be the simple ones, and which can be expanded upon with well, the use of grammatical cases such as ta, so from. So if Mena means when, Menata means since when. Abba, who, Abada, with whom. And I think that actually concludes it. I don't think I included anything else. So those will be the last two big things we're going to do in the course, which I would now deem as concluded. So I have a few slides on, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
No problem. So the thing is, the course now comes to an end. However, Sumerian has just begun. So how is that? What do I mean? So if you have looked at the syllabus, you will surely have seen that I have included a last session scheduled for the 22nd of this month, so August, same time of well, these classes, where I'm going to present, well, the reading group and intermediate Sumerian course, which is not going to be a live course, like where you have to connect to Zoom, because again, I think you're probably going to get vacations and you might want to enjoy them and not connect to Zoom while sipping on a pina colada while in Hawaii. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a sort of textbook, kind of like the homework we had that I have been giving out. Each week I give a new lesson with some exercises, a grammatical compendium, and solutions. And that lasts, I would say, 2 months, basically, up to the beginning of, well, September. And then from September, I think you will have gained the necessary knowledge, although I think you have it now, I mean, with some practice, to, well, join the reading group, and then we can begin the reading group for good, and I will be handing out the plan for the reading group, as in the texts will be going over during the year. They're probably going to change because priorities and discussions and better ideas coming up along the way. But that should give you an idea of what we're going to go through. Gilgamesh, Gudea, mathematical and juridical tablets. So real Sumerian from now on. And I think there's nothing else to it. Right, oh yeah. And these in purple would be the, well, grammatical topics would be going over in the intermediate group, sorry, intermediate, well, course, if so we can call it. It's not a lot of them, and it's definitely enough to, well, disperse over the course of 2 months. So what do you guys think? Would you guys be up for the intermediate course this summer? Or is that something?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Of
Okay.
course.
That's really good. So, well, thank you guys for having stuck with me for, well, the whole year up to this point. I am very glad that I could do this, and I hope you learned, well, the most you could out of this course. And again, I hope to see you, well, in September with the reading group, which is kind of why we're doing this. We're just training to read real Sumerian. And again, thank you so much, really. This is the first time we do this well, like in a very organized manner. And I say this is a very well ended project and experiment. So very well concluded. And again, oh, another thing, I'm going to talk about this in the next class too, but if you want to request the certificate, because, well, out of the 50 people that sign up for the course, I'm not going to hand out 50, well, certificates. That wouldn't be fair and just in your regards, especially. You just send me an email saying I want it. You write the name you want. I mean, you want me to write you down as the full name, of course, and I hand it out. So, yeah, I would say that was it. If you guys have anything to say,
Sounds good.
yeah, now is the time.
Are we going to go over the homework?
Oh, we can do this. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
I'd love to. I really struggled with it. I'd love to go over it.
No problem. We can, I guess, stop the recording and then we'll do it anymore.
Sounds good. Hang on.
Okay.